And so our maze became so rank.
Oh God. How long did it last like that? Did it ever get better?
No,
Oh
no, it
God.
stayed that way for the rest of the run.
Ew.
Water dried up, but I remember that night we were like boot deep in this water and we were just sloshing towards our prey. It was great. I thought it was actually a lot of fun. I was like, what are you going to do when you're in the trenches? You're in the trenches.
Hi everyone. I'm Charge and Die. You can call me Noelle. You can call me Mama Wolf. You can call me a lot of things. It depends on if I will respond. Uh, and welcome to Scareactor Stories. I created this interview platform, I guess you could call it, since doing my Scareactor Stories on TikTok, and people seem to really like that. I wanted to give my fellow Scareactor friends a chance to tell their stories too. I have a special guest with me tonight. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, everybody. My name is Mike, but most people know me as Lumberjack. I have been scare acting for 4 years now. 3 of them spent playing Leatherface.
Yeah. What was the other one?
The fourth one was Cupid.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, cool,
Yeah,
cool.
in the Holidays in Hell Maze in 2018.
I remember that maze.
Yeah.
Wait, Holidays in Hell 2019?
2019 was the maze. 2018 was the scare zone.
Oh, you were in the scare zone. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Gotcha. Carlos Valencia, thank you for subscribing at tier 1. Thank you so much for the subscription. Glad to see Lumberjack here, he says. Hell
What up,
yeah.
brother?
Great. Well, let's get started with the interview, I guess. So, Lumberjack, I'm going to call you Lumberjack. I hope that's fine. That's
Yeah,
how
that's
I
fine.
know you, so I'm just going to keep saying that. But yeah, Carlos says Holidays in Hell 2018. Yeah.
Holidays.
Woo! So, Lumberjack, were you interested in horror before auditioning? What got you into scare acting?
Oh, well, see, uh, okay, I love horror movies. I grew up with them as a kid. I used to get dropped off at this lovely little old lady. Her name was Olive. I don't remember her last name, but I remember when I was a kid, I would get dropped off at her house and she had all the classic Universals like Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Wolfman. So,
Dracula. Dracula was my
yeah,
favorite.
Dracula. So I fell in love with them instantly. She had me hooked from the first Frankenstein viewing. So after that, I just kind of fell into acting after music. And slowly but surely, I didn't really know how to like get into movies though or anything. I just knew I enjoyed acting. And next thing I know, one of my friends was like, "Hey, you want to apply to go to Halloween Horror Nights with me?" And I was like, "Of course." So we auditioned, and next thing I know, I became Leatherface, and the rest is history.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you ever attend Halloween Horror Nights before working it?
Oh, of course, of course. I would always drag my mom, and she hated it.
Oh no.
I'd be like, "Mom, come on, you got to go with me," because I didn't have a license. So, when I was 15 or
Oh.
whatever. So my date with my mom, it was fun.
Oh, that does sound fun. As we were saying before we went live, I had never gone through Halloween Horror Nights before working it, but I knew it was a thing and I really wanted to. I love Universal and I loved horror movies. My
Yeah.
mom used to test me in horror movies. I grew up under a rock. I was not allowed to watch a lot of stuff growing up. I was very much like Catholic schoolgirl. If I say stupid, I say sorry, Lord, I'm so sorry I insulted somebody. Like it was that kind of setting. But I was interested in a horror movie. My mom for some reason let me watch it and I was able to handle it fine. I think it was The Birds. I think the first one I ever saw was The Birds by Alfred
Hey,
Hitchcock.
yeah,
Yeah, classic, you know?
classic.
And because I was able to handle it and I had this great interest now, my mom was like, okay, let's see what you can handle then. I'm like, this is very uncharacteristic of you. Let's do this. I will take advantage of this weird mood you're in. So she takes us to Blockbuster. I'm showing my age right now.
Oh no, Blockbuster's the way to go.
Oh, I loved Blockbuster. So she takes us to
Yeah.
Blockbuster and we rent out like 4 different horror movies. One was like Rosemary's Baby. Another one was The Shining, Carrie, and The Exorcist. I think were the 4.
Oh, of
And I
course.
was I was able to handle them all fine. The Exorcist was probably the one that scared me the most, but I was still able to handle it. And so ever since then, I was like, I love horror. Still can't watch a lot of stuff because that was just a weird mood she was in. And then since then, she's like, you want to see Jaws? no, it's too gory. Like, you made me see The Exorcist. Make it make sense. I don't understand.
Yeah, my mom was the same way. She actually hated horror movies. However, the ones she liked were the ones that were like, oh, that couldn't actually happen. So, like, if it was
Yeah.
zombies, she'd be like, oh, not scared, no big deal. But if it was something that had to do with like demons or something like that, she's like, oh, ay Dios mío. 'Cause, yeah, because she's like a tiny little Mexican lady, so she'd always like get so scared.
Oh, that's so
So,
cute, though. I love that.
yeah.
So, what was the biggest challenge you had to overcome when you started scare acting, and was it what you expected?
Oh man, uh, it was the heat for sure.
Oh
I
God.
was not expecting it to get that hot
Yeah.
at all. In the hides, in the maze, just being outside in the mask or in the outfit, because you're wearing layers, and people don't realize that you got a few layers on. And at first when you're walking around, it's not so bad, but you scare a couple people, you work up a sweat. Okay, it's getting hotter. You keep scaring for another 5 minutes, and all of a sudden you realize that you have to do that for another 40 minutes, and it's already like 100 degrees.
Oh.
And not to be gross or anything, but when I get too hot, I puke.
Yeah.
So that every opening night for me in Halloween Horror Nights, I've always had to like somehow, some way get out of the maze at the last minute and just blow chunks.
Oh no, you poor thing.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
okay. It's like it's like I proved myself I could do it. It's okay.
You stuck through it. You committed for the whole season, so that's
Yeah.
what counts. That's what
Oh yeah.
matters. But yeah, I definitely agree with the heat. Not a lot of people understand that because here in California, we are in like 100-degree Fahrenheit weather through mid-October when
Yeah.
the season's almost done. And it's
Yeah.
true, we wear a lot of layers, and I'm sure the mask you were wearing was like a latex mask, yeah?
I think so. It was. I mean, it wasn't too bad. It was just like the mixture of the bodies, and I'm a big boy myself. Like I'm a big guy, so I already run hot.
I was just gonna say you probably run hotter than most, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then like latex
Fear
does
doesn't
not
help.
breathe, and if you're not in mask, you're in at least makeup and prosthetics, which also does not breathe.
Nope.
So you're just
Yeah.
sweating so much. Like I'm a small girl, you know. I
Yeah.
tend to run colder, but even I overheat. And I sweat so much,
Yeah.
it's disgusting. Like if anyone, some people would like Snapchat story me backstage after I take my wolf head off, and I'm
Yeah.
just like drenched in sweat. I'm just eating a snack. I'm like,
Or I got to give a massive shout out to all the people who've ever been like a predator or a xenomorph or a demogorgon.
oh,
That's
Demigorgon for sure, yeah.
horrible because like talk about overheating. All I can think about is all my friends who have been in those suits. And I remember when they were doing the demogorgons, people were just
They were
they couldn't
passing out. They
hang.
had to go to
Yeah, they
the
were passing
hospital.
out.
Like,
Woo! It
poor
was too intense.
things.
But the few that made it, I was like, those are true warriors.
hmm Oh man, we got a couple comments. Carlos, scare actors know better than anyone. It's either hydrate or dihydrate. Yep.
Hydrate or dihydrate.
I
That's
love
right.
that.
Yeah.
The first time I heard that was in another interview, actually. It wasn't even while I was scaring, and now I want to use it this year. Be like, hydrate or dihydrate, everybody. Make sure you're drinking water and that Gatorade. I always bring my own powdered Gatorade because I do not rely on others to supply that for me. I want to make sure I have it.
Yeah. And, depending on what position you're in, you should always bring some throat lozenges too.
Yes,
Especially if you're
but
playing
not the
Leatherface.
kind with menthol. I think menthol is the agent. I could be wrong. I need to. Not menthol. There is a numbing agent in some throat lozenges that it will numb the throat so that you feel better, but that's dangerous because if you're still using your voice after the numbing effect, you could potentially hurt it more without realizing.
Hey, the more you know.
Yeah, the more you know. That's from voice acting more than anything else, but I apply it to scare acting too. Methamphetamine? No, it's not like meth.
There we go.
No. Dan Dage, is it me or does it smell like wet dog here? That's the maze. That's us actors. We're just that our combined body odors are what causes the real scares.
Oh, well, you know what? And okay, so scare actor stories.
Mm,
I got like a small one for you. In
please.
2016, we had a really rainy week. Our maze got flooded, and they couldn't really do anything about the water in there.
Hmm.
Not only that, but we had a family of cats with a mama kitten that lived in our maze. And they were using it as a toilet.
Of
And
course.
so, with the mold in the water and how wet it was, it became this horrible stink fest. And we already had like stink perfume, whatever they're called, stink shooters, like for like barf and blood and smells like that in our
Yeah.
maze. And so our maze became so rank.
Oh God. How long did it last like that? Did it ever get better?
No,
Oh
no,
God.
it stayed that way for the rest of the run.
Ew.
Water dried up, but I remember that night we were like boot deep in this water and we were just sloshing towards our prey. It was great. I thought it was actually a lot of fun. I was like, what are you going to do when you're in the trenches? You're in the trenches.
Exactly. I wanted to scare in the rain. I was totally willing, but the person in charge of my mask required me to not scare because they were like, we are not replacing this mask if it gets mildew in
Oh,
it,
yeah.
so you specifically are not allowed to scare. I was like, oh, I wanted to slide around in the rain. Dang
Yeah,
it.
it's a lot of fun in the rain.
Yeah, I would have had a blast, especially because there would be like hardly any guests except for every once in a while. So you have all this room to move around in the scare zone, and like hardly any actors out there too. And then you could just play around with your actor friends. Oh my God, it would have been great. But no, she held me back specifically. I was like, no, she's not going out there.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I usually when I'm wearing a mask, I rock my hair in a ponytail because
Mm-hmm.
it becomes cumbersome. But if it's raining, the ponytail comes out and it
Nice.
feels so good because I feel like it adds to the care as well. Because
Yeah,
now
just
you
the
can like
wet hair
shake
look.
your hair a little bit. I
Nice.
don't know what this was. Just like a guitar solo or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But um oh, excuse me, that was my phone. But
No worries.
let me mute that real quick. There we go. But yeah, like, it just adds another factor to the whole scare and stuff like that. It just makes it so much more realistic, I think, when it's raining.
Yeah, I love playing around in the rain, but some characters can't because of their makeup or what they're wearing and all this stuff, and you got to be extra careful not to get hurt. And if you're in California, especially, places are not built for rain here because it hardly ever rains. So you just got to be mindful of that, and the guests are gonna get pissed. They're gonna be very angry because they were not planning on rain. Definitely not.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So you just gotta watch out for those guys.
Yeah, those are easy nights, though. Hardly any guests come through. And the
Yeah.
ones that do are just running. They don't even, they're not
Yeah.
getting one, they're just booking it.
It's like, okay, bye. I
Bye,
wasn't
see
gonna
you.
scare you anyway. Fine, whatever. Oh man, what has been the biggest challenge with guests? Do you have any like bad guest stories?
No. A lot of people, I mean, there was one where a guest like touched me inappropriately, and
Mm.
I had to report him, because he was playing around, and I don't know, he probably had a little too much to drink, but I don't take that stuff too personally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm more concerned about my fellow scare actors when it comes to guest interactions
Mm-hmm.
because I can take a hit. I know I can. I have been inadvertently punched in the face by guests, and I don't take it as like a personal assault because it hasn't been anybody like running in trying to fight me or anybody or
Right.
anything like that.
They're
It's
just
just been
messing
like,
around and being dicks, and like you can handle a punch, and it's fight or flight. If it's fight or flight, I tend to let it pass because like,
yeah,
okay, that
yeah,
was instinctual. You didn't mean to knock the wind out of me, and I could take it. Okay.
yeah.
It's the
That's
ones
what
that
I.
hesitate and then clearly choose to punch.
Yes,
Those are the ones where I'm like, yeah, I might be able to take the hit. I'm still going to report you because I don't know who else could take the hit.
yeah.
And
Well,
you're
I
going
mean,
to hurt other people.
if it's intentional, of course I'm going to say something.
Of
But
course.
if it's reactionary and they're just like you know, then I'll just be like, I kind of use that as my scare. I'll be like, oh, and then I'll just turn over and be like, oh, and they'll be like, oh God, he's even scarier.
Yay! That was
You
really
know?
good.
So, yeah, that's why I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever, it's okay. Because I'm a big guy again. I rely on me being a big guy a lot for scare acting. Um, and I know that's not my only weapon in my repertoire, but it's the first thing people see. If I
Right.
don't use my size on them or surprise them with my size, then I've already failed as soon as I've stepped out of my hide.
Mm.
Got to take advantage of it. The moment you come out, you're a big guy. Surround them, just swarm them. Just, ooh, I'm here, and you can't go nowhere. Something like that.
Oh, definitely. Like that's the character too. It's like the character is meant to be a big intimidating guy. So you
Yeah.
gotta be in character. Were you a fan of Leatherface before being cast as him? Or did you
Okay.
adapt
So,
into it?
um, from different eras, I have different favorites.
Okay.
Like from the OG Universal classics, um, Frankenstein. I think a lot of people recognize Frankenstein's monster as like, the king of the monsters from that era.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's my favorite then. And for like the 70s, 80s slasher movies, Leatherface all day. Leatherface was so cool because to me, he's he's not a hero. He's the bad guy. But he's not looking for these kids to kill them. They keep breaking into his house and using his stuff and messing up with him. He's downstairs in the basement doing whatever he's doing. They never show us, they never tell us. And these kids just come into his house thinking, hey, we're going to use the phone. Hey, we're going to ring up their electricity bill.
Like the
Hey, we're going to do
audacity
all
of
this
these
stuff.
children.
Yeah. And at some point, you see Leatherface after he kills two of them. He runs to the window and he has like a panic attack because he recognizes, I think, that he knows what he did was wrong and he's freaking out about it. And he's also looking out the window to see if anyone else is coming because he has no idea who these people are. What are they doing coming into his house? So plus he's also kind of like special needs and all this. So, the way they raised him to be like a guard dog. I know way too much about Leatherface. I could talk about
Well,
him all
you
day.
played him so many times, it's your job to know him. I always tell people if you are cast as a face character, if you're cast as a known character from a movie or TV show, do your research. Research the character. I failed. I failed in that sense. I was cast as a wolf from Trick or Treat. I didn't have the movie. There was no way to stream it, but a friend of mine had the DVD. I couldn't get that DVD until halfway through the run. Finally saw the movie, and I realized, wow, I was supposed to be a slut this whole time, and I was just playing wolf, I could have been having so much more fun this whole time, just playing up the sexiness. Damn it.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. No, it's not even, because like they start off as being like slutty and all that.
I had no idea. There's no spoilers for me, but I've never seen that movie. So
You should. It's a really interesting movie. I really enjoyed it. It's like an anthology. It's multiple different stories that seem to come together at the end.
they're all kind
So
of connected somehow.
yeah, I was really confused the whole time in my zone because I didn't know anything about the movie, and it's like, okay, there's this little kid character with a pumpkin head named Sam who I don't know what his deal is, and then there are these zombie kids, and then I'm a werewolf, and then there's this teacher dressed as a vampire. What is happening here? And it turns out that they were all separate stories come together in the one movie. And I'm like, okay. Okay, guys, I get it now. I get
That's
it.
cool.
Let's actually be in character. Shall we? And by we, I mean me. I'm sorry I didn't do my research beforehand. But yeah, do your research. I think that's amazing. Dan Dage says, "Get off my lawn," in response to your Leatherface comment. Sorry, I keep knocking this. Please don't hate me. I haven't seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I really want to.
Oh.
I was going to watch it before this interview because I knew it would come up, but I didn't have time. but I do intend to watch it for sure. I know it's a classic. I want to know the character. He shows up almost every year at Halloween Horror Nights.
They've used him the most, according to what Scott Kleckner was telling me.
Really? I'm surprised by that. Oh, actually, no, because originally I thought maybe Freddy Krueger, but no, he's a newer one.
Well, I don't know the full history. Maybe I was wrong about that quote from Scott. I feel like Scott told me that, though. I do.
No, it makes sense that Leatherface is like the most used, like the oldest one.
Well, he was the first property they got along with Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. But I don't think they brought back Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street as much as they have Texas.
Yeah, I agree. Were you were on Terror Tram in 2017, weren't you? Or were you somewhere else?
I was Terror Tram 2017, and I would alternate sometimes with the maze. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I wore it specifically for this.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was one of, I don't know if you remember me. I was one of the camp counselors for Friday the 13th.
I do remember you. Yeah. I do.
I was Grindstone Kill. I was the dumb one who would come in every day. I don't know if you heard this every day or maybe once or twice. I don't know if you heard it at all. But every day before my shift, I would go over backstage to my mask, the really gross one, with the face ripped off. And I would go, well, back to the daily grind. Put the mask on,
back to the daily grind.
Go to my grindstone, do a pelvic thrust, and then sit down at my grindstone and wait for the first group.
No, I never knew that.
Yeah, I would do that. And some people, like, there was like 3 people who heard this every day. But it started off like, oh, that's funny because she's grindstone. I get it. And then the second day, they're like, didn't she say this yesterday? By the 3rd day, they were sick of me, but I kept doing it every day. I was committed.
Yeah, you have to. Some things become tradition, and they help you get through the night.
It was the thing that started it off. I was like, hey, I had a great first day, and clearly it's because of this bad joke, so I have to keep saying the bad joke.
No, that's perfect. I mean, everyone's got their own little quirk. I know that I look at my mask sometimes, and I'll be like, here we go again, or something like that. Nothing like specific, but there's always that thought in my head that's like, yeah, okay, step into the arena one more time.
Does it happen with you too, where as soon as you put on that mask, you are in character? Like, it's something about being in that space in the mask where you're just like, I'm in my own little zone right now.
Yeah.
Watch out.
The moment I put on the mask, I feel Leatherface, and when people call me Lumberjack, I still respond. I'm not one of those total weirdos.
Yeah.
But I want to be, though. I really want to be, though. Like, when I put it on, only call me Leatherface, please.
It's like when you're on set for a movie and you're playing a character. It's like, no, I'm the character. I'm not me. Otherwise, I'm going to be out of character. I'm not like that. Like, if I'm out on stage, so to speak, when I'm on my set, 100% the character. I will not respond to my name unless it's my supervisor. Like, if a friend comes up, it's like, Noelle, I would just like stare in wolf form at them or something. Or if I'm camp counselor, I would just stare in camp counselor until they're like, okay, it's the wolf. Yeah, okay, now I'm responding. Like, I'm not gonna break character. I know it's still me. I'm not like a crazy person where I'm just like, no, I know I'm this. I know I'm still me, but I'm gonna stay in character because I'm serious about it. And because of that, I got to play with fire.
Oh, really?
Yes, because in 2018, when I was the wolf out in the scare zone, we had that fire tower, right?
Yeah.
And Hutch, the guy who would press the button to get the fire, he was one of 2 guys, as far as I understand. He was the fire guy. And I didn't know him. I didn't know his name at that time. I just knew, like, oh, that's the fire guy. And we would pass each other as I was coming off my set. He was going back to his spot to do fire. But because we were still in the view of guests, I would always stay in character. I would like say hi to him, but like by roaring at him or something, or like doing one of these head things. And then after a couple weeks doing that, backstage, I took off my head and he was there and he's like, You're the wolf girl. And I'm like, I am one of. Yes.
I'm
Hi.
one of, yes.
Hi. I'm Noelle. Nice to meet you. And he's like, I'm Hutch. You are my favorite scare actor. I was like,
Hey.
what? Why? What did I do? And he's like, because you always stay in character when you're out there, and I really appreciate that. Even when you're just walking off set, I really appreciate that. Do you want to come press the buttons for the fire?
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
really? Yes? Why would I say no to that? So then he showed me, and
Awesome.
such a sketchy area up in that building. Like everything's falling apart in there. Like the facade looks great. Inside, woof, needs work. But he would like just sit down at this little window, and there was one button for random, and then there's another for all of them to go at once. And so I look down and I see one of my wolf girls out there on one of her sets, and I wave to her and she waves back at me and she gives me a nod, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. She goes under the tower, waits for a group of people to come walking by. She gives me a nod, I nod back, and she roars to the sky as I press that button for all the flames to go up at the same time, and
Dude.
scared that whole group of people. It was the best.
Oh,
Oh!
that's cool. Oh
Yes.
man.
Love it.
Yeah. When you're in character, I feel like sometimes the best way to go is just method. I mean, I don't, and that goes for when I act normally.
You mean
But
you've actually chainsawed people before?
no, 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 no. I just mean like you got to get into that mentality though, like
Yeah.
because you're supposed to scare them, but you can't touch them.
Mm-hmm.
You can't touch them. You got to let them live.
For
But
HHN specifically, there are some
for
places
HHN
where you are
specifically.
allowed to touch them or torture them, sign a waiver kind of place. I don't think I would ever work at a place like that because I'm too nice. I don't want to hurt
Yeah,
anybody. How about you?
yeah.
You wouldn't do anything like that?
So I did have a scare that actually it was a really good scare, but I was unhappy with the result because I'm just trying to terrify people.
Mm.
I want to scare you so bad that maybe you pee your pants, maybe even poo a little. But I want to like scare you. I really want you to like just get your money's worth. I don't want to hurt anybody.
No.
That's what I don't want to do. And so, I just as a disclaimer, they have those signs that say, hey, if you can't handle strobing lights or fast things coming at you, don't go in this maze. Maybe you should think twice if that really happens to you.
But who reads?
Yeah, well, who reads? I don't got time for that. But I was Cupid 2018,
Mm-hmm.
and the cool thing about that was I didn't get to always rely on my size because there was actually kind of an open area since it was a scare zone.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just take my entire body and hide in the fog machine. I
Ooh.
told them I was like, turn it up to 11, baby, and just have it blasting the whole time. Because if they can't see me when I come out, they will see me. And so I see this family coming into the maze, and I just back up into the fog, and I shrink myself though. So I back up and like you can only see my head, and then I just shrink beneath the fog, and they all start going, "Oh my God, he's gonna come!" Mind you, this is like 6:30 p.m. The sun is still out. It's all bright,
Okay.
and so I didn't think they were gonna get that scared, but they get a little closer, and I just come shooting out of the fog right at them. And the girl right in the front, her eyes roll into the back of her head, and she just goes down. I
Oh.
know, I know. And her head bounced, and I was like, oh. And I broke the cardinal sin. I ripped my mask off immediately
Oh
because she
no.
started having a seizure. And I was like, roll her on her side, roll her on her side. And
I think in that sense it's justified to break character and get your mask off to help them immediately and like get help. Oh my god.
yeah, but like security wasn't anywhere around. I had to clear the maze out. I had to grab a barricade and shut the maze down. And finally I got security's attention. It was crazy. The
Wow.
girl and her family, like I ended up going to like the Back to the Future lot and taking a break after
Oh, I don't
that.
blame you at all. That's really scary. Like I wouldn't even know what to do if someone just like scraped a knee or something, let alone have a seizure. Was she okay? Do you know what happened?
Yeah, so it ended super positive. She was a-okay. Everything was okay. She just needed some water, I guess. Um, But they got her up. She was okay, and her family wanted to tell my supervisors, "Oh, he did a great job. We don't blame him. He was super scary. He got
Oh,
her real good." And
that's
I
really
was like,
sweet.
"Oh, that's so great." But I
Oh,
hope she's okay.
it sounds like
So
she's
they were mad
okay.
at me. I mean,
Oh
yeah,
God, what a scary. She ended up scaring you.
yeah.
Oh,
And
she
of
did
course,
that
when I
Uno
ripped my
reverse
mask
real
off,
hard. God.
oh my God, yeah. And when I ripped my mask off, I still have like makeup underneath, and I'm all sweaty, so I still look terrifying, I'm sure. But I'm just happy it all worked out, you know?
Yeah, me too. Wow, what a story. Oh
Yeah.
boy. Oh God.
Anybody in holidays, if they're in the chat, they'll remember that because we had to shut down the maze and it was like closed for like I think like an hour or so.
Wow, did everyone know what it was for though? Or were
I
they just like,
think
I guess
so.
we're closed for an hour. Cool.
Maybe it was a mix of both.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
That's
because I didn't
crazy.
necessarily tell anyone right away. I did, like I said, I just went to the back lot and I just had to sit because I was like, oh man, I hope she's okay.
I don't blame you at all. I would have done the same thing. Oh my God. You
Yeah.
handled it great though, by the sounds of it. That's amazing. I need to read Dan Dage's comment. You have chainsawed people before? How else would he get the name Lumberjack?
Yeah, there you go.
Why are you
Um,
called Lumberjack? I never asked.
oh man. So I used to work at the Boys and Girls Club and I was just starting to grow out my beard and all the kids would call me Hagrid, Santa Claus, Bigfoot, Lumberjack. And I went to a party with one of my coworkers, and he goes, "Oh, hey, this is that lumberjack guy I'm always telling you about." And from there, the name just stuck. Uh,
Ah.
I usually wear a red flannel, so that doesn't help. But everybody wears flannels these days, you know? Like, come
It's
on
cool.
now.
I like flannel.
Yeah.
Except for when it's
But
really hot out.
yeah, like but back in middle school, you'd always wear like three flannels, even though it was a million degrees, just because you wanted to look cool.
Hell yeah. I'd wear like a black t-shirt and then a different colored flannel shirt and jeans.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Except for in high school when I had to wear like uniform stuff. Like I said, Catholic
Oh,
girl growing up. But in college and stuff, yeah, that was my go-to. It's just like t-shirt, flannel, jeans. Let's go to class.
well,
Dan Dage
some
goes, future scare actor for the girl with the seizure? Maybe. I don't know. She's got to understand what caused it first and get that under control. Because imagine if you're scaring and then you end up with the seizure.
Oh yeah, you're the one. You're
And
the
then
one in
everyone
the
thinks you're
hiding.
just acting.
Oh,
And then they don't help you.
oh no, you can't because you can't press the panic button, so no one knows if you're just joking around or
Yeah, you
not.
can't throw an X. You can't do anything.
Oh
God,
my God.
that's the scare. That's a scary thing. I have some
Yeah.
friends who are like, I never want to be a scare actor because I have this fear. Keep in mind, this isn't just one person who said this to me. This is a few different people who've said the same thing to me. They're like, I'm afraid of being a scare actor because what if a murderer comes in acting like he's another actor and then he kills me and then the guests think that it's just an act. Like no one's going to help me. And
Oh
I had
my
to tell
God.
them, first off, they know who they hire. They'll be able to quickly identify that's a stranger. What are you doing back here? Secondly, fake blood does look fake a lot of the time. And screams, you could be a great actor. You could have a great scream. But I think there's a different resonance when it's a real scream.
Oh,
And
definitely,
people will
definitely.
be able to catch that. And then
Uh,
thirdly, even when things are fake scenario, lumberjack taking a chainsaw to a kill, right? There are still guests that interrupt it, going, save her! Even when that's
yes.
not real. Imagine when it is real. They will help, I'm sure.
Oh, one of my favorite scares though probably felt pretty real to these
Yeah.
two girls. Um, 2016 Leatherface again. I was in the kitchen, which was one of my most favorite scares because you just pop out hard and fast, and you come out through the wall and you just get them real good. And it was towards the end of the run, so I think it was in November, probably probably one of the last 2 days. So these two girls were just coming in, wasn't as packed. These two girls came in by themselves, and I come shooting out of the kitchen, and both of them, they're holding arms, they're like locked, like, oh, they jump up together and land on their backs. So the trigger's still going. I still got to get the scare. I take my left leg and I put it on the outside of one girl and my right leg on the outside of another. I took my chainsaw and I started to spear in between them. Like I was like hitting the floor with it, and they're like, ah, ah. And then the trigger ended, and I just went back into my hide. Oh, you're not supposed to go into the camera room, but they had to replay it for me because they were cracking up so hard.
Oh, that's
my goodness,
brilliant! I love that.
Yeah.
Oh God. So, do you prefer? I imagine you prefer maze over scare zone. Is that true? By the sounds of it.
Ooh, honestly, probably not. I just happen to end up in mazes a lot. But I would love to be in a scare zone, I think. I was Holidays in Hell was a fun scare zone, but it was a limited scare zone because we had like a chain link fence and we weren't allowed to use the whole metro area.
Yeah, it was just like a mini scare zone outside of the maze, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a mini outdoor maze kind of actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm hoping that one day I'll actually be able to be in a scare zone, like Scare Zone 1 or something like that. And even beyond that, I'd love to be a scare captain, like a show quality captain.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I want to like help other people really get the character right and stuff like that. It's super important for me to like give people what they pay for.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, if they came in and they spent $80 to go to a performance, I don't want me and my fellow actors, my scare actors, to be like bad. I want us to be really good. I want us to give them their money's worth.
And that's the mark of a true performer, I feel, because there are a lot of scare actors out there that are like, this is just my job, and I get paid by the hour anyway, regardless of how I perform. But then you get the real performers that are like, no, this is a show. We are entertainers. Let's entertain. Let's give them their money's worth.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, you're paying me to do a job, and they paid to come in. It's only fair.
Yeah,
and I got
absolutely.
that mentality from back when I was in a band. You know, I was so humble that people would spend $2 to $5, maybe sometimes even $25 to go see my band. You're spending a lot of money there, brother. Of course, I'm going to give you every penny.
Hell yeah, because you appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Oh man, to go back to, you mentioned going into the camera room, the security camera room, just to see the playback of your scare. That I didn't get to see the playback, but it did happen once for me where they were talking about a scare I did based on the cameras. I was pool in 2017. It was one of those nights of like going to pool after Terror Tram already closed for the night, you know?
Yeah.
So I was in the American Horror Story maze as a nurse, and I had a little screen and a sheet and a knife, and I would just pop out and scare people. Yeah, just like rawr over and over again. And these two girls came in, like two teenage girls, and they were the only ones in the group going through. They were the only ones in my room. And I pop out and I scare them, do my thing. One girl gets so freaked out that she drops to the ground. She first runs into the table against the wall, runs into the other table, drops. The friend grabs her, brings her back up. They both look at me, they drop again, and then she gets up, does another like 1-2 against the tables, and then they both run out of the maze. I was like, what just happened? Are they okay? I had no idea that was gonna happen. But when I was signing out for the night and I got out of makeup and costume and everything, and I was signing out with the supervisor for that maze, the security guy was sitting at that table talking about that scare and how funny it was and all this stuff. And he's like, oh man, do you know which one of your scare actors did that? And I happened to have been right there when he said this. So I slowly raised my hand and he goes, was that you? And I went, sounds like a scare I did today. Yeah, I think that was me. He goes, "Oh my God, I fell out of my chair laughing. It was so funny."
That's awesome. That's very
I was like,
impressive.
"Aw."
When you can get people to play human ping pong, you've done a good job.
Woo! I love playing ping pong with people and dominoes.
Yeah, and dominoes for
Hell
sure.
yeah. We make a game of it. Dan Dage, were you scaring in a cartoon or something? I swear some of the reactions I get is like we're in a cartoon or something. Do you have any
Yeah.
stories like that, Lumberjack?
Um.
Just like
Uh,
ridiculous reactions that you were not
okay.
expecting.
Okay. So I like to challenge the big boys that I come across when I scare them a little bit
Yeah.
because, like, falling back on the big guy thing again. And for me personally, if I see a guy walk in and I know he's a big dude, I want to scare him even worse because it's like a challenge. Because a lot of big guys will walk in there and they'll just be like, "Huh, whatever, no big deal." But for me, it's like, no, I want to see you fall, bro. You're going down.
I want to see you pee your pants. Let's go.
So, 2016, first scare of the maze. I have Papa Sawyer. I don't remember who it was. Drawing a blank at the moment. But anyway, Father Sawyer, the older brother, whatever his character's name was, is sitting at the bar and he's heckling people. He's making fun of them as they come in. And he was a great scare actor. I wish I could remember his name, but he's a phenomenal scare actor. I hope he's there this year. Kurt. Kurt was his name. There you go. I
Okay.
wish I could remember his last name. But he always had a great one. He would always go, "Get him, Leatherface." And these two guys, they were probably 6'8", came into the maze. And he's like, "Look at you, string beans, you big dog giants." And he's just going at him. He's heckling him hardcore. He tells me to get him. And I come running out. Now, it was built like a long, narrow maze. So I had room to just shoot at them like this.
Nice.
And I had a chainsaw and everything. So I go after them. And both of them jumped back and fell on the floor. The trigger's going off. They start to climb back to their feet and the trigger ends. And I'm just sitting there going, "Come on, come on." And their eyes are so bugged. They're like, "We're going to get you. We're going to get you. We're going to come after you." And I don't know if that's very cartoony, but it reminded me of a couple of old school guys going, "Hey, now listen here. We're coming after you, buddy." And I was like, okay.
I do love that
Yeah, it was
reaction. I
funny.
don't know. I'd say it's cartoony. I think that's ridiculous. I love that. Have you ever gotten someone to pee
Yeah.
their pants?
Oh, yes. And when I said earlier, maybe even poo a little,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. You got to call the cleaner in with the salt bucket and the broom.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, "Come on, man, need your help." Uh, and yeah, absolutely. Especially there was another little spot in the 2016 maze where we had to shoot out in between these two pigs that were hanging from the ceiling, and these things were heavy
Oh
monsters,
yeah.
uh, probably like, I mean, 40 pounds isn't very heavy, but when you're shouldering into it every night, oh man,
I
it's
was gonna
heavy.
I was gonna guess like 40
Um,
or 50 pounds because I know what you're talking about. Like I've gone through haunts where it's like those hanging things. It's a lot.
yeah, like hanging slabs of meat or whatever, and you're just like, wow, that's really heavy. And so yeah, I came through, and I always reach first with my arm through the thing while the trigger's going, and then I just shoot my whole body out, like, be damned, these big giant pieces of meat, and get out of my way. And this one poor lady, she didn't have much room to go. She just backed up, and so I pinned my arms, and it was like, "Oh!" And she just squatted down, and then the trigger went back, so I went back. But when I turned around, she was still there. And I was like, "Oh no." And then she got up and was like, turned to her friend, and she straight up was like, "I just pissed myself." Poor lady. Yeah. Floor was just covered, and I was like, "Oh no."
Oh no! Use the restroom before going
Yeah.
through a haunt. Going through a
Yeah,
maze.
absolutely. Please. Like, a little bit of pee is one thing, but when you like completely flush
When there's a
yourself out,
puddle, if it can go through the fabric of your pants or whatever you're wearing, it's
but she
too
was wearing a
much.
skirt, so I think it was. But anyway, either way.
I don't think I ever got someone to leave a puddle like that before. Every time I had someone piss themselves, it wasn't a huge deal. Like, we didn't need cleanup after or anything. But there was this one lady who deserved it. Like, she came through.
Oh,
I was in this little room with a pop-out screen, and to explain, the guests would come around this corner, and there's an entryway, like an open entryway here that I would go into to go hide. And then there was this window that's boarded up with a pin. So when you like pull that pin out, it drops and creates a noise as you pop out of the window. And then you reset with the pin. And so this one lady was coming through, and the scare actors in the room, like around the corner, were trying to scare her, and they were doing a good job. Like, they were doing their job right, but she was being a major B-word about it. And she was just like, I see you. Oh, this is not scary. Why are we here? And like making all those kind of comments. And so when she gets to me and I pop out, and she's like, oh, almost. So I tilt my head at her, reset with the pin, and then as she's walking, I decide to do a second pop out of my entryway. And so I pop out at her a second time. She was not expecting it. She flings against the wall and goes, ah! I just peed.
Yeah.
And then she continues with her friend who's just like, it's okay. It's like, I hate this.
Oh my God.
She actually got me.
Yeah. It's like, that's what you paid for.
You gotta throw shade. Gotta handle it.
No, that was awesome.
Yeah. Like, I'm not supposed to pop out of there, but you know, we bend the rules a little bit for certain special people.
That's right. And if you can get the double scare, go for it.
Oh, yeah. It's like we said, the ping pong. One scare actor scares someone this way, they scare over here, and just keep going back and forth. Woo! My favorite thing is I always have a bucket list every year. I always want to get someone to pee their pants. If I can get them to poo themselves a little bit, you know, that's even better. I want to drop someone. I want someone to spill their beer.
Yes.
I want to get a guy to scream like a little girl. You know, so like I have these goals in mind. Like if I could achieve them, great. If not, it doesn't matter anyway. But it's like fun things to work toward and look forward to if I actually succeed. Do you have anything like that in mind of like, I would like this thing to happen this year? I'd love to scare someone like this.
I do actually. Over the past years, I've been quite fortunate. Well, not fortunate, but in my own manner, fortunate enough to try other mazes out. Not as a pool performer, but as someone who was just like, I would get injured one night and they would tell me, oh, hey, you know, you can't do Leatherface tonight if you're injured or something like that. And I'd be like, that's okay. I still want to make money though. You know, like what else do you got for me? I'll be a pool performer. I'll be blackout, whatever. So I've been able to try, Exorcist, Holidays in Hell. I've been Leatherface, of course, but I was also a purger.
Ooh, that's fun.
I got to play Santa Claus for a few nights in Holidays in Hell. Not Krampus, not the Krampus on the stilts, but like actual Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And I always look forward to doing that. I always look forward to every season being like, okay, yeah, I know I'm this one character, and that's where my heart belongs for the season. That's where I'm going to be, and I'm going to nail it. But I want to try out other things too. I'm always very curious. I always like to see what the other groups are into.
Yeah, mix it up a little bit. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I like exploring. And, you know, it allows me to show my range to my supervisors and things like that. And hopefully they don't sit there and go, wow, what a waste of time.
Yeah, because once you're like pigeonholed into this one character or one thing, that's what you're going to end up being cast as, unless you could break out of that just ever so slightly and show them what else you can do. That's great.
Well, yeah, when they brought me up to be a purger one night, all the supervisors came down and I started to really feel the pressure. And I was having a blast though. Scott was there, Gabby was there, Allison was there, and Frank was there. Frank was the supervisor of the maze, actually.
So he had to be there.
Yeah, but I didn't realize this, but I kept being Leatherface though. Even though I was wearing a
Oh.
purger outfit and I was supposed to be a purger, I was still inadvertently playing it as Leatherface. So
Mm.
Frank pulled me over to the side and he goes, "What is everyone else doing right now?" And I watched them and I didn't understand what I was looking at. But he was like, "Eh, just listen real quick." And I was like, "They're talking." And he was like, "Yeah, because purgers are what?" And I was like, "Human." And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh." And he goes, "Yeah." So instead of like what I was originally doing was going like Leatherface,
Hmm.
now I was going, "Come here, boy, come get you some,"
There
like,
you go. And that can
yeah,
make a huge difference.
oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And it made it much more scary. It was much better with Frank's guidance there. That was
That's a
good.
great way that he guided you too, because he allowed you to come to the conclusion rather than just telling you like, "Hey, you gotta speak. You're human." He kind
Yeah,
of guided you to that conclusion yourself. That's really good. That's good to hear. He's a
yeah.
great guy.
Frank, yeah, you know who I'm talking about, right? Always
Yeah,
dresses
yeah,
real
I'm
fancy.
familiar. Like he was like I know Gabby, I know Frank cuz I like I said I did pool quite a bit in 2017 when Terra Tram was closed. I was in that weird cusp area of being almost too tall for all of the costumes but
Oh,
still being the right size to fit most characters. So I was needed in almost every maze, which was really nice for me. I get the extra money, like I'll fill in
yeah, of
pool
course.
every once in a while. But it also allowed me to be a lot of different characters that year. Like I said, I was the nurse. I also was in a small purge scare zone. That was really cool. I was in Saw a little bit. That one sucked because I was Amanda digging through the guts for the key. So it dyed
Oh,
my hands red, and I was hand modeling at the time, so I actually lost out on money doing that.
oh no.
Oops. But that's okay. That's okay. I was able to be different characters, and it was fine. It was fun, and gave me a lot of experience. Cause yeah, I did scaring a couple years before that in San Francisco before moving to LA. But that was very different. Like when you work just a haunt versus a theme park haunt, especially something as big and big budget as HHN, it's got a different vibe to it, a different expectations. So I was really nervous.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
but yeah, it's great because Frank, to answer your question, Frank was one of the supervisors for one of those mazes that I did. I think he was Saw. I think he was the one for Saw. I don't remember.
I don't, yeah.
Um, I know Gabby was. I think Gabby was American Horror Story. Or maybe she was. I don't remember. Sorry. All I know
It's
is that I
okay.
know them.
Yeah.
So, hey, Maroon Wolf. Maroon Wolf is one of my regulars. Hey, Mama Wolf wanted to pop in for a second, but now I gotta go see you next time. Aw, thanks for just popping in and saying hi. It's good to see
Yeah,
your name
right
pop
on.
up. Dan Dage goes, "What's the worst person you guys had the pleasure of scaring?" Oof.
Mmm.
Oof.
Playboy Cardi.
Hmm?
Playboy Cardi, the rapper.
Really? All
Yeah.
right. Is there a story along with this?
So I was Cupid again, and they informed us that a celebrity would be coming through the maze. Oh, they always let you know that it's the end of
Building
the
it up. It's
world.
like they're just people too. I'm going to scare them, but I have bragging rights. I got to scare
Yeah.
so and so.
And so it turned out that it was Iggy Azalea and
Oh.
Playboy Cardi, who I think she's either dating or was dating. I don't know, not my business. Um, but I remember that I was hiding behind the sign that shows like these two skeletons holding hands or whatever. And I come swinging around with my crossbow and I scare them. And poor Playboy Cardi like legitimately gets scared.
Oh,
And
yes.
Azalea doesn't. She starts laughing at him and he starts getting pissed. Like,
Aw, fragile eagle.
yeah, like he started getting really upset and he wanted to like fight me. And so his boys were like, "No, man, just keep going, bro. He got you good, bro. He got you good." But he kept turning around being like, I know, punk. I know, blah, 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 blah. And I was like,
You came
okay.
through to get
So
scared.
Yeah. So I just ended up coming out of every hide I could for the rest of the maze because I followed him just to keep scaring him. And he was not happy about that. He was legitimately very angry. And I wasn't trying to anger him, but I was like, bro, have fun. You're getting scared. That's what you got to
Yeah,
do.
that's the whole point. Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, he was legitimately upset. Like he was ready to fight me.
Oh,
And
yeah, I bet.
I
I
was
don't
like, you
like people
can't
like
fight
that.
Cupid, bro. I'm immortal.
You're fighting Cupid? You're dating someone. Maybe that's
Yeah,
what happened if they're not dating anymore.
that's what
It's
happened.
because
That's
he
what
pissed off
happened.
Cupid. Boom.
Cupid struck back.
That's amazing. Let's see. My answer to that is my favorite thing is getting revenge scares on asshole guys. Oh, sorry, I just
Yeah,
swore, but still, like I love scaring. It's not always guys, but it's a majority of guys because I am a girl. So a lot there's like this stigma that like we can't handle it as well, or like oh let's flirt with her or
or you can't
whatever.
scare guys
Yeah,
just like
and
anyone
there are
else
these
can.
guys that would come up and like hug me out of nowhere, kiss me out of nowhere, grope me out of nowhere. And I hate that. And then they're just the assholes that are like call me. So
Yeah,
a good example of like the best scare I think I got was uh there was this guy picking this is in 2018. I was the full transformed wolf and I was out there with my half transformed wolf, so she only had prosthetics, and we had
yeah,
this agreement that since I can't see out of my mask very well and I'm in a very open area with guests trying to touch me and pet me and all this stuff, she was in charge of watching for any guests like that. And then if someone did mess with me, she would point to them, follow them through the zone, and I would go get security and call them on that guy. Well, in this case, the guy was actually messing with her, and I happened to catch sight of it at the right time because he would go up to her, get really close, and she would like back away a little bit, and he would just be walking up and be like, call me, like this. So I walked up to line up where he was walking toward, and I just stood there because
yeah,
he was walking backwards. He was like call me to her, but I'm behind him,
yep.
and I was just standing there waiting for him to turn around at some point or bump into me. Either way, I don't care. I'm standing here and you're gonna get a scare because you don't know I'm here. He did turn around, call me. Ah! Oh, and then he like ran away, and I was like, that's right. And then the other wolf girl and I high fived, even though I had my claw on, claw five.
No, that's awesome though.
Yeah. So I like scares like that. It doesn't always happen. There are some times where I try to do a revenge scare, and they were just like, "Hey, what's up? You're cute too," and I'm like, "Oh, that's the worst feeling."
You know what? You know what's funny? We didn't really touch up on like inappropriate touching. We talked about like people hitting us and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But inappropriate touching, that's like a whole nother thing.
Mm.
Girls have a real problem with Leatherface, for
Ooh.
real.
What do you
And I
mean?
like they are strong-willed ladies when it comes to Leatherface. Like I've never seen this kind of behavior
You
from
mean
women.
like they'll flirt with Leatherface, or?
Oh, like they will straight up grab us and like kiss us through our masks. You can, I don't know if you remember Nathaniel Culpepper.
I
Uh,
don't.
okay, there's a few other leather faces, but he had like the worst experience where multiple girls would just come right up to him, grab him, and just start kissing him, and all we can do is put our hands up and just go because
Because
we're
we're not allowed to
supposed to,
touch them back, yeah.
yeah, and we have to stay in character. So like it happened to my friend Sean, it happened to Omar, it happened to Nathaniel. I had it happen like a couple times, not as bad as them though, but girls just like, and I think it's because of they must know the lore of Leatherface or something like that, where he's really like he doesn't want to hurt pretty girls, like he doesn't want to, he's easy to subdue when it comes to a pretty girl. That's his whole thing. But minus the first movie, of course. The
Mm.
first movie, he's just like racking them up.
Yeah.
But every movie after that, if there's like a pretty girl, he's like, oh, I love pretty girl. And so I think these girls know that, and so they're like do terrible things to me. I had one girl
Oh.
in specific, like she came up to me when I was in Leatherface's bedroom, which was this big open area with no hide, and I just had to, theatrics playing around, and I come up to her with this face, and I put it on her face,
Mm.
and then I pull it away, and I go, oh, and she goes, take me, Tommy, and I'm like, what? What? And then she just keeps walking, and I'm like, oh, okay, like she,
Disgusting. I'm not surprised. I mean, I am, because I never thought of that. I never thought that that was a thing that happened, and I'm so sorry that happens. Like, yes, I understand women can also, you know, be sexually abusive towards men. Toward, like, especially in mazes and scare actors and stuff. It's not just men hitting girls every once in a while. It can go the other way, and it does. Like, I'm not surprised at that. It sucks that that happened. I never really thought that that would happen to Leatherface because they're so big and scary. I would expect it to, like, the smaller guys. It happened a bit to the zombie kids in my scare zone. Like, some girls would just hang around and, like, flirt with them or whatever because
yeah.
they think it's funny. But to straight up grab and kiss a character, I don't understand that. Like, what are you trying to get out of it?
I don't know. I don't
How?
know.
Oh, that is awful. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
I never got a kiss or anything like that. I always had girls like flirt with me, but
Mm.
the other guys got it bad though. The other guys like, yeah,
And it's like, I'm also hearing it now. I'm not surprised because I know how aggressive some women can be, and they just want to seem important in some way. I don't know what it is, but I know how aggressive some women can be, and they have no shame in that, and they should. They don't.
yeah.
Don't know. I don't
That
understand guests sometimes. It's oh.
playing Leatherface is 100% the only time I've ever experienced it on that level,
Mhm.
and it should bother me more. Of course, it should be like a big like, hey, don't do that, don't touch me, but because our maze is nothing but guys, it always becomes this like, oh, hey man, I mean, it sucks that she did that, but whatever.
You're
It
getting
just becomes a
some sort of
whatever thing.
action, you know.
Yeah, and
Oh.
I mean, we complain about it, but we don't complain about it though.
Yeah,
Like we just
like, you'd prefer if it didn't happen, but because it did, okay.
yeah, yeah, we're like nonchalant about it in a weird way.
Yeah, because you didn't, like, they didn't physically hurt you, but it's still weird, and don't do it. I'm like
Yeah,
just watching
yeah,
everyone watching this. Don't do it. Just because they're
don't
nonchalant
do it.
about it doesn't mean that you should be able to get away with it. That's not
Yeah,
okay
yeah, it
at
doesn't mean it's
all.
okay.
Never okay. Dan Dage
Well,
goes, I can't imagine why anyone would go to a place to be scared and do that stuff. Yeah, follow the rules. Don't touch the scare actors. Just keep moving, be scared, and move on.
well, it's the same thing like with the big with the, not with the guys, but with the guys who get drunk
Mm.
and they end up like trying to start a fight with a scare actor. It's the same exact thing. I don't like that either, and I don't want girls touching on me inappropriately, and I don't
So
want guys
inappropriate.
getting too drunk and like starting fights with other scare actors and things like that.
They
My main
would
concern,
push their girlfriends into me a lot,
yeah,
which
and
I
I
never
think that's so
understand.
dumb.
It's so dumb because it's like, dude, she might actually break up with you because you just showed that when the going gets tough, you're gonna toss her into the monster as you run away. It's not funny. She wants to feel safe. Why are you doing this? So I started doing it, like, when it happened to me so many times as the wolf, I would start to hold the girl and whisper in her ear, dump him, he's the real monster, and then release her back.
Dump him. He's the real monster. Yeah, like
Because women look out for women, like he's doing
I
that.
I don't like it when when guys, even if they don't run away and they just shove their girlfriends into you. It's like that's
Yeah,
not how to scare them, bro.
that's
That's
not.
not that
No, you want to make them feel safe. If you're dating them, you supposedly care and respect them, right?
Yeah. And it
Why?
doesn't help us either.
And it
Like,
hurts. It hurt me a lot because I was about to lunch usually when that happened, so I would have to stop my lunch early, and
yeah.
that hurts my ankles and my knees to have to stop it real early,
Or I
just to make
might
sure
be
that they don't get
reaching
hurt.
across. Yeah, or I might be reaching across like a bisect kill, trying to like reach out to the crowd, and then they push their girlfriend into my hand, and I might like, I thankfully I've never hurt anybody, but I've hit a few foreheads because they do that, and I'm like, bro, I could poke her eye out. What are you doing? It gets dark in here, man.
Yeah, and we're in masks a lot of the time. We can't really see a lot
Yeah,
of the time. We'll try our best, but I always give this advice to people who intend to be a guest at a hunt. I always tell them, you stay as predictable as possible. I know you're trying not to get scared, but also it's our job to scare you. If
yeah,
you stay predictable, it's our job to be the unpredictable one within a safe setting. If you suddenly become unpredictable and switch up movement, there's a chance I was planning on going to that same spot at the same time and we would collide. So stay predictable, stay on the path, keep moving.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
help
You're
me
just,
help you not get hurt.
yeah.
Please don't hurt me in the process.
I wish some people would think of it as a museum tour with jump scares. You know,
Yes. Because
so
that
that way
is
they
what it
know.
is,
Yeah,
basically.
stay in between the velvet ropes. Like
You're not
don't.
there to touch stuff. Why are you touching stuff?
Yeah, stop it.
Just stop touching me.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's so
So
funny.
we're almost out of time, but I wanted to ask you, do you have any advice for people who are just starting to get into scare acting or just learned what it is? And do you have any advice for bigger people who play big, intimidating roles like Leatherface? First off, how to play a character like that, and also how to play that character in a maze versus a scare zone, because I know that's very different.
I try not to give too much advice because I often find myself going against it. Um,
Know the rules to know how to break them.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But I would say first and foremost, as generic as it is, stay safe.
Mm.
You want to stay safe because you don't want to hurt anybody and you don't want to get hurt. If you get hurt, how are you going to perform? And if you hurt somebody, you're probably going to get fired, so you won't be able to perform. On top of that, if you're a big guy, you want to drink a lot of water. You got to drink a lot of water. You just have to. There's going to be some hides you don't necessarily fit in. That's okay. You got to work around it. Muscle your way through. It just adds to the scare. And take everything in stride. Go at your own pace. You want to get the scares. You got to make sure you're people putting people through and scaring them through, but don't give yourself a heart attack.
Mm.
Uh, give yourself some breathing room, but stay in character. If you're not going to be scaring people while they can see you, at least stay in character. That's more important than anything else. And that goes for anybody. Stay in character all the time. Whether you're just going to the bathroom, if the audience can see you, stay in character. If
Hopefully,
they,
you won't be out in the open using a restroom.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Just pop a squat, sit down somewhere random.
well, there was one time when in 2016 when I had to cut across Scare Zone 1 to get to The Walking Dead because I had to relay a message because the
Mm.
microphone wasn't working, and I had to go in my full Leatherface getup. So for 5 minutes I became a member of Scare Zone 1 as Leatherface as I walked through, and it was great. I had to stay in character, but that's what it takes. You got to just stay in character, and people really appreciate that because it gives them the full immersion, gives them what they paid for.
Don't break the magic.
Yeah, you don't want to break the magic.
Mm-mm. Yay. All
Yeah.
right. And then what about like specific character, like specific advice for playing a character like that?
Any
Like
character
acting.
they give you, try and watch a movie that either has that character or is somewhat based on what that character might be centered around. That way you have an idea of what that character may be feeling, how they move, how they interact with others. Certain characters, Leatherface, I know him the most. he interacts with men differently than he interacts with women. He still scares women, but he does it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't know that if you didn't watch all the movies. So it's important to make sure you're aware of things like that. I've never seen Haunting of Hill House, but if they put me in that maze, I would watch it tonight and study everything. Whatever character they gave me, every time that character popped out, why is he coming out? What is he doing? What's going on with him? How is he walking? And those are things that you got to pay attention to. Learn your character, because if you don't, people will know. There are fans of these movies who have grown up with them, and they study these characters more than we do. And if you don't give them what their performances, they'll, they got social media, they'll be all about it. Oh,
They'll
Freddie.
leave a
Freddie.
scathing Yelp review.
Yeah, that's all.
No, that's great advice, definitely. There are definitely times where, say you're in pool for just a night and you won't know what character you are, and it's possible that you aren't familiar with it. If in that case, what I did, like I never saw American Horror Story, I didn't know the context of the nurse character in the grand
Yeah.
scheme of things. But yeah, definitely watch movies and TV shows to get an idea of the context of the character. What kind of character? Are they good, bad? Are they like truly evil, or is there some justification for what they're doing in their motivation? Like sprinkle some of that stuff in. That will really up your acting for sure. But for the nurse, I didn't know the context of it. I just did the best I could, just popping out with a knife. But I didn't know is like, am I evil? Am I dead? Am I still alive? Am I a murderer? Am I a ghost? Like, I don't know any of that stuff. So talk to your supervisor, because it's their job to also know all of this stuff. If you don't
Yeah.
know how to play a certain character, ask them. They should help you.
100%.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to talk to your supervisors either. If you're just getting into scare acting, supervisors are your best friend. They're there to help you. They are not there to hinder you. They are not there to hurt you. And, they just want what's best for the maze and for their performers. That's all they're about. So they
And
will 100% get your back.
don't take critique personally. Because
Yeah.
there are times where you could feel like you're doing a great job being this character and everything, but a supervisor might come up to you and just say like, hey, I would recommend you do this instead. It doesn't mean what you did was bad. It doesn't mean what you're doing is wrong. You're making a choice. They're just acknowledging the choice you made and slightly giving you a different direction. Don't take it personally. Just do what they tell you to do. It's their job to tell you what to do. So just
I back that opinion 100%.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Because I've seen some actors who take it really personally, like, oh, but I know the character and I studied and I'm doing exactly what's in the movie. It's like, yeah, but your supervisor said to do it this way in the context of the maze. They're thinking big picture here and also trying to make sure that you stay safe, because maybe you were doing something a little unsafe. Yeah, it was in character. Yeah, the character would do that. But maybe you were almost hurting guests or making them feel like they were about to get hurt or something.
And last night I was at rehearsal for Halloween Horror Nights, and a lot of people that know me or heard about me like to hype me up, and I find that a little weird, but it's okay. I appreciate it. It's very humbling, that's for sure. But I make mistakes, just like everybody else. Last night I asked my scare quality captain, my show quality captain, if I could use the entire room, because I thought it would look really cool. I'm hiding behind bodies. I don't have a hide, so can I be more creative? And he told me straight up no. And I got to be okay with that, because that's my job. That's what they hired me for. And they have a plan for that room. As far as they're concerned, people are going to just be, walking through and doing their thing. We don't know if that's the case. We don't know yet. But for now, that's what they have planned. So I got to stick with that plan, and I got to scare around it. And I'm 100% totally okay with that. And you should be too, because that's just the name of the game.
Your job is to be the character. Their job is to understand your character and everyone else's character and talk to sets and costumes and everybody to make sure that the maze as a whole makes sense and everyone is safe and having fun. So, because it's not your job, you're just this little bit of it, of a big picture. don't take it personally if they say straight up no to something like with Lumberjack, because I'm sure there's a great reason that they have for that. Maybe specifically said, like, make sure no one comes over here because this is really weak and if they stand on it, they'll die. You know, like they might have that information. You don't.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're just looking out for you. Dan Dage, watching a movie becomes your homework. Best homework assignment out there. I know. It's a really fun gig to have. Dan Dage, stay in character. Maybe you get to play with fire.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Dan Dage, I like you. I like you commenting. That's good. Very resourceful.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Comments, questions, all that fun stuff. But it is, unfortunately, time to say goodbye to Scareactor Stories for this season. Thank you so much, Lumberjack, for being here. Would you like to take a minute to promote anything or give any final words of wisdom?
I just want to point out one thing for anyone who's been watching. Right here in the corner is my OG Leatherface mask.
Ooh.
I hold on to that guy very dearly. He was very important to me.
And he has like a clown nose.
Oh yeah, I got a little clown nose on him just to brighten the day.
Yeah.
But no wisdom, no sage advice. Just go out there, have fun, be safe, and just remember it's a job, just like any other. And as fun as it is, and as performative as it is, you got to make sure you give people every penny they pay for. That's for sure, because they'll always come back and they'll bring their friends too if you do.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Dan Dage, have a good time scaring you guys. Thank you so much. In case people don't know, I'm not working Halloween Horror Nights this year, unfortunately. Bam! Dabble!
Dabbing away.
Party! Yeah, but Lumberjack will be working Halloween Horror Nights again this year, he mentioned. I will be working Knots, so if you want to come through our haunts and try and find out who we are, we will not be posting about it until after the season because we don't want to ruin the magic. But if you happen to know who we are and you want to say hi, we'll say hi back in character. Maybe. Who knows? Oh, who's the kitty?
Bernadette.
Bernadette. Aww. So cute. I have two myself. I have Buckaroo and Tulip in the other room.
Oh,
they're adorable. Aw. But yes, please follow Lumberjack on Instagram. I have his link underneath his face in the overlay. Lumberjack, you won't be able to see it, but on Twitch, it's there. So follow him on Instagram if you're interested in whatever he's up to. Have fun during haunt season, everybody. I will be dead tired. I will still try and post to TikTok and YouTube and Twitch every so often, so follow me on all those things. I post the most up-to-date updates on everything I'm doing, including and especially my streams, to my Instagram stories and Discord. So follow me there if you're interested in my streams and knowing what's up. But yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone for joining me this season of Scareactor Stories. And thank you so much to everyone who took the time to chat with me. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for everyone who joined and asked questions and had comments, and it's been fun. It's been a fun journey. Thank you so much, everyone. I will let you know through Instagram-ish, maybe YouTube also, if I will be doing a season next year.
Let's hope so.
Crossing fingers. I'll post to the Facebook group again and see if anyone wants a second round. But Lumberjack, I will give you a more proper goodbye. To everyone watching the stream, thank you again. Have a great Saturday. Great rest of your night. You guys are great. Bye-bye.